Good afternoon, my name is Abel. Today I'm going to be doing a demonstration for you on a couple different techniques. So we're going to start with the vegetables. I'm going to quickly wash my hands so that follow some good sanitation procedures. Some warm soapy water, wash my hands really well. I'm going to start out with some carrots, and like I said, I washed them all first. So the first thing I need to do is trim my vegetables. I'm going to cut my vegetables uniformly and cut them at the same time, right? I'm just going to line them up. And I'm going to just go ahead and square them all up so for my different cuts, because I have to make some 1/16 cut for the fine julienne. I have to make a 1/8, I have to make a quarter, and I have to make a half, and I have to make a 3/4 inch. So knowing that it's incremental, I can utilize one cut for the next cut and simplify my task. And nice uniform fine julienne for sautéing, put in a salad. So here I have some fine julienne cut. Very simply done. And then if I need to make a very fine brunoise, I can do the same thing. I do the fine julienne, and then I cut the other way for the dice. So I'm going to cut the opposite direction here into a really tiny, tiny dice. The one cut ended up being perfect to do the second cut with, right? I didn't have to do a whole lot of calculation and trying to figure out how can I do one and then the other. Kind of make it simple, right? So there we have a brunoise and a fine julienne. Now we're going to do a bâtonnet cut. Cut it about 2.5 inch length. So just going to do the same practice again. Going to square up my vegetable a little bit, easier to handle. So now we're getting up to a little bit bigger size here. Now we're going to get up to 1/4 inch. So this carrot here, I can probably almost cut it in half. Same with this one. Going for that 1/4 inch a bâtonnet slice, okay? And now we're going to do bâtonnet in small dice. Again, we want it nice and square, okay? So we're going to cut 1/4 by 1/4 by 2.5. So now I have the bâtonnet, okay? And then I'm going to turn around and turn that into a small dice. Since I have it 1/4 by 2.5, now all I have to do is cut it the other way, 1/4 inch. And then I'll have a nice uniform small dice. Same process again. Holding onto the vegetables firmly, holding onto the knife firmly. I'm going to go down with the knife, square it off. So here I have 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, okay? Those are your basic fundamental dices, and julienne, bâtonnet, the cross-utilization of those cuts for the smaller dice, medium dice, large dice. How do we get 8 perfect little football potatoes out of one potato? I start by cutting off the 2 ends of the potato, and then I cut the potato in half. Then I'm going to cut each half nice, pretty uniform quarters, right? And for this skill, I'm going to use a paring knife. This is just a regular basic paring knife. So I'm just using this tip. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the knife and the potato at the same time. I'm trying to get this turn. And then I move the potato until I get down to 7 sides in a nice football shape. So I'm going to roll the knife and the potato at the same time, right? Then I'm going to come back to the same spot. My fingertips there. I'm going to go back to that center on the other side. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to rotate the knife and take that other side off here. So that's 3 times, right? Now I'm going to turn the potato back to the same side again. One more time. I'm just doing the same technique over and over. So I don't need these potatoes any longer and the vegetables that we peeled. So we're going to sanitize the cutting board after we cut our vegetables. And then we're going to do some chicken demonstrations here. Today I have some poultry to use for demonstration purposes. Our objective today is we're going to look at some of the standard fundamental cuts on these kinds of poultry items. So let's go over the different pieces of the chicken. These types of birds come in 4 sections. You have the dark meat of the leg and thigh, and the breast and wing joints, which are the white meat parts. What we're going to do today is we're going to start out with the first most basic cut is we're going to cut a chicken in quarters. For cutting up poultry, I like to use a boning knife. So the way I like to teach people how to do it is a standard way is to separate the legs and the thighs from the breast meat here. Just a simple cut one time right through here like that, okay? And then what I do is I turn the chicken over. So what I'm going to do is come up to the backbone like that, and then cutting with the tip of the knife, I'm going to guide it right up against the blade, right up against the bone, and I'm going to push it right underneath that oyster, and then I'm going to take the poultry, the leg, I'm sorry, and right up to the end of the chicken and remove it. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to take the knife tip right up to the back of the chicken's backbone here, and using the tip of the knife, come around that oyster, and then slice away. Now I have 2 quarters, right? I have a thigh and a leg, a thigh and a leg. That's 2 quarters. So then what I'm exposed with here is this cartilage here, the breastbone in here. And this is an indication of how old the birds are. So in chickens, it's really easy. You can just notch it with your knife, with the tip of your knife, and spread it like this. And then just remove that piece. If you look at the leg and the thigh, you can see there's a natural divider right where the bone bends, just like our legs do. So I'm just going to go right in that natural joint and cut right in between. And the same thing again, there's that joint. I'm going to just put the knife right inside the joint here so I don't cut through the bone, and just nice clean cut, 7/8. So now I have 8 cut. I have 2 breasts, 2 wings, 2 legs, and 2 thighs, right? Let's go ahead over to the stove and let's do some cooking. So now we have a nice clean heavy bottom pan. I like to use a nice thick bottom pan so that it's going to retain the heat, okay? I have some chicken stock. I have some olive oil I'm going to use. Just a little bit of salt and pepper. Today we're doing a basic demonstration. We want to know what does pan searing taste like. And today we're going to do it in a gluten-free style, which means no flour, okay? So my pan's hot, right? We're nice and hot here. Want to make sure that we don't burn ourselves or anything like that. So I'm going to take a little bit of oil. And one way we can tell if the pan is hot is when we add the oil. We see the oil running around in the pan, a little smoke coming off, right? So I'm going to take this chicken breast and I'm going to lay it on the nice side that I'm going to serve. Or if it was fish, I would do the same thing. I would do the nice side first, down. Okay? Got a nice hot pan. Going to lower it to medium heat and let it sear nicely. I want that color. I want to develop some flavor from the pan up. So what we want to do is not overcook it, right? We don't want to over denature the protein, because that's how food becomes dry. Literally, the cells themselves actually burst and the moisture escapes, and then you result in a dry meat product. So now I can take a look at my chicken. I have a beautiful color, right? So now I'm going to cook the other side. Maybe just a splash of chicken stock so I get some moisture in there. And I'm going to finish this in the oven. I have an oven hot at about 375 degrees. And I'm going to pass it down there. Maybe I'll take a little bit of fresh rosemary from the spring garden here. A little bit of thyme. We don't need much. These are oily herbs, and they're going to reduce in that sauce. And we have that flavor that develops in the bottom of the pan. In French, we call that the fond. It's the developed caramelization, little particles in the bottom of the pan. Like if we're going to make brown stock or brown sauce, we're going to roast the bones and do that kind of thing. Exactly the same thing. I like to say we're going to build the flavor from the pan up. And here we have some nice fresh vegetables to use. We want to make a balanced plate, right? We want to have a nice mixture of vegetables, green vegetables, red vegetables, orange vegetables, different vitamins, different nutrients, proper cooking, not too much fat in the diet. So here we have a little bit of a spinach puree. So maybe we can do something like this. Have a nice spinach puree. So here I have some nice carrots, Maybe we can put some carrots in here too. So we have a nice mixture of vegetables, right? We always taste our food before we serve it. That's really important. We want to make sure that what we serve is seasoned correctly, right? So our chicken is ready now. We're going to let it rest for a few minutes because we don't want to cut it and then serve it and then all the juice runs out. So here we have a chicken breast. Here we have a beautiful finished pan-seared chicken breast with some roasted beets, some tournée potatoes. You know, it's been great today. We've done a lot of different things. It's been a pleasure. Again, my name is Steve, and thank you very much for spending the time with me today.